officials took this beautiful place that was once a blessing bestowed by God and transformed it into the modern-day Sodom. Almighty God went there many times to preach the gospel, but locals thought that they had plenty, living lives without any worries about food or clothing, so they didn't need God's salvation. Therefore, they rejected Almighty God's kingdom gospel every single time it was offered to them, and they slammed the door shut on God's salvation. They even abused the brothers and sisters of the Church of Almighty God, saying, "Our lives are amazing right now. You come to preach the gospel to us because you have nothing better to do. We don't believe in God. We only believe in money." Despite how the brothers and sisters from the Church of Almighty God testified to them, telling them that only by accepting Almighty God's work of the last days can they receive salvation, they turned a deaf ear. The brothers and sisters urged them several times to understand that only those who worship God can live with God's protection and receive His blessings, while those who reject and resist Almighty God will all fall as victims of disaster and face punishment. But still the locals brushed this message aside. The people of Qingping Township ultimately refused Almighty God's salvation. Sadly, there wasn't a single person there who believed in Almighty God. Then, as we all know, at 2:28 p.m. on May 12, 2008, the earthquake erupted. Suddenly, the earth moved and the mountains shook. Giant boulders rolled down from the mountaintops. The air was filled with dust, and the sky darkened. Some mountains even collapsed to the point of disappearing entirely. Qingping Township was in a valley, nestled between two large mountains. As the earthquake continued growing worse, the mountains shifted to the middle and closed in, and in a flash, they joined together. Qingping Township ended up being crushed under the mountain. The people in the township were all trapped under the rubble and buried alive. This town that chose not to worship God was left unprotected and instantly destroyed. This tragic occurrence reminds us of what's already been recorded in the Bible. When Jehovah God declared that He wanted to destroy Sodom, Abraham tried his best to plead with Jehovah God and asked Him, "If there were 10 righteous people found in this city, would you still decide to destroy it?" Jehovah God responded and answered the question.